This is Love Notes, daily devotions from Holy Trinity Lutheran Church. Grace and peace to you. Well, we find ourselves today still chewing on wisdom in the 28th chapter of Job, this interlude between the dialogue sections that have gone before and what is to come. Job has concluded that there is no source to wisdom except God alone, and that it can't be bought, and it is of ultimate value. So now in verse 23, it says, God understands the way to it. God understands the way to wisdom, and he knows its place. He knows where to find it. For God looks to the ends of the earth and sees everything under the heavens. When he gave to the wind its weight and apportioned out the waters by measure, when he made a decree for the rain and a way for the thunderbolt. The text is rehearsing God as creator. And there's a deep spirituality in Job that anchors the search and the quest for wisdom and the meaning of life in the created order. That God has put everything into action, and that creation is more than just a bunch of natural resources that we use up, like it says earlier in this chapter. It's more than mining the gold and the silver. It's more than harvesting the wheat and putting bread on the table. That creation itself is a marker, a metaphor, a sign of what God's wisdom is all about. Though inscrutable it may be, creation is a receptacle of the wisdom of God. We don't think about it that way often in our culture. Creation is simply something that we use up. We put it in the tanks of our cars and burn it. We put it on our tables and eat it. We process it and make it into food that's barely edible. We turn it into things to be consumed and commodities to be traded. But Job's sense is that there's more to it than that. That because God looks to the ends of the earth and God sees everything under the heavens, and that God was caught up in the creation in the first place, there's a sacredness, a wisdom to it that we need to seek out for its own sake. There is more to life in this text than we can understand. That's one of the things that seems to be dawning on Job as he goes through this. There is more to life than we can understand. We don't like this. We want to be able to understand and explain everything, especially in this information age where you can Google anything. Of course, what you may get is misinformation and lies as much as the truth and information. There is much in this world that is not for us to know. It's beyond us. And you have to ask yourself whether you're comfortable with this. The Greek philosopher Plato is supposed to have said, at one point, I am the wisest man in the world because I know one thing, and that is that I know nothing. Plato understood that there are things that are beyond us, and that what we know is slippery, that what we know today may be proven wrong tomorrow, that we humans and our perceived wisdom is precarious in nature. Only God's wisdom is steadfast. We also are hearing in this particular text that nothing that's come before this in the 27 chapters that precede it is a source of wisdom. Job's questions and his sufferings are not going to yield him answers. The appeals to our own understanding are not going to give us answers. The traditions that his friends have presented to him, that's not going to give us answers either. Only in the forward-looking engagement with God are we going to have any hope of increasing our wisdom, of understanding the deepest questions that are beyond us. And in the end, everything comes as a gift. The wisdom that we possess is wisdom given to us. Martin Luther talked about this in terms of salvation, justification, faith, that these were alien things that had to be placed in us. So any righteousness that we had would be alien righteousness. Any wisdom that we have is going to be alien wisdom, I think Luther would say. And that means that it's all grace, given to us by God. And so living in a posture of grace, where we give thanks for what we have and we are open constantly to what God may continue to give, that's the only hope we have for receiving wisdom and the answer to our questions. Amen.